I would rather not elaborate as to how I can be so certain, but you may rely upon my forensic experience when I tell you that the lettering which you have just seen was not rendered in red ink. It was scrawled in blood, and it serves as an ugly reminder as to where all of us were at this point in time last November, when you might recollect that you and I and the entire world were concentrated upon the question of the presidential election. Would we wind up with a president who, while aging, faltering, and far from perfect, was an actual authentic president? Or would we end up suffering through 4 more years under a fake and phony White House incumbent, a de facto office holder, a fraud? The outcome of the election is a matter of course, and yet now today a new question has asserted itself. As you are no doubt aware, this fraudulent, opportunistic belligerent is actually seeking a second term, while throughout this country there is an entire cross-section of degenerates racing to rally around that flag, beyond which it would seem that unthinkably the ignorant and reprobate Republican Party is actually considering endorsing this campaign and running him as their candidate. Again. In our countdown to the election, we reminded you that in the late 1800s, you had a president who, having served 1 term, ran for re-election and lost. 4 years later, he ran for re-election again and won, going on to serve a second non-consecutive term. There is a presidential precedent for this taking place, which brings us to the next question of the hour. In speaking of countdowns, you now have 3 years, 3 short years, a temporal interval which I can assure you will fly past in a hypersecond. No matter who you are, no matter who you might be, you now have 3 years in which to do absolutely everything within your considerable power to make certain that this poison is never again inflicted upon this world, upon this land, upon this nation, upon you or I. 3 short years. The enemy is rearing its head. The writing is on the wall. That crude finger painting clearly demonstrates this. 3 years in which to prevent this from ever happening again. And the answer to the question as to what you should do to stop it is self-evident. You must do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.